Okay, here is the next video lecture on gender, which is chapter 11 in your book. This is the last slide that we talked about. We're talking about children who watch TV, a lot of it, and how they typically end up adhering more strictly to the traditional gender stereotypes that are put forth in society. Now, I want to set forth a new idea for you. The notion of what is gender appropriate will change or vary over time in one place. I don't have to go too far to make this case. Go right now on your phones, on your laptops, find images of our male politicians in the 1700s. You can do it right now. Do it on your phone. You can pause this and open up a new window and look. It won't take you a second. What you're going to find is that they were essentially drag queens by today's standards. Were they not? Look at it. They were wearing silk stockings, high heel shoes. These are men, by the way. Powdered wigs, makeup, shirts with laces. With lace and ruffles, excuse me. They very feminine by today's standards. Now, back at that time, during that time, these men weren't considered to be gay, or they weren't considered, to be feminine. We weren't judging. They weren't being judged negatively for the way they were dressed. It was considered actually to be very, very cool, believe it or not. In the early 1900s, young boys were photographed in dresses, and this hit home with me when I was young. My grandfather passed away. I was a teenager. And my grandmother, who was still alive, took all the pictures out, all the photo albums, and we were reminiscing. And she showed me a picture of my grandfather. Now, my grandfather was from Lincoln County. He was the manliest man I ever knew in my life. I mean, he may have said 3 words a day, and one was a grunt. And he was a farmer. He worked at Carbide. He wore the same work outfit every day. He was a man through and through. And when she showed me pictures of him photographed in a dress, a big flowery, ruffly dress, I thought my grandmother had lost her mind. I said, "Grandma, you're going senile. He's my grandfather. He's not wearing a dress." And she explained to me, well, yes, during this time it was very common and accepted for young boys to be photographed in essentially what were christening dresses, but they were essentially dresses. And I would ask you, ladies and gentlemen, you get married someday, you have children. Would you take your young boy to Target or Walmart and have him photographed in a dress, in a flowery, ruffly dress? And your answer to that would probably be no. So why is that? It was okay. It was accepted and normal in the early 1900s, but it's not now. Also, the idea of female athletes. When I was playing sports in school, girls who wanted to play sports were stigmatized. I mean, they were sort of made fun of. They were called boys and other names. They were nothing really positive. Girls' sports are widely popular today in schools, which I think is a good thing. So the idea of females who want to play sports is much more acceptable. If you don't believe what I'm saying about colonial men's dress, in the late 1700s, these are snippets, pictures from men's catalogs during the late 1700s, early 1800s. The upper class man, like the GQ look, if you will, was stuff like this. You have ruffles, you have the coat tails, you have the stockings. If you don't believe me, these are exactly, you don't have to memorize this, okay, but this just gives you, just the wording gives you an idea of just the feminine language associated with men's clothing. Body garments and breeches. I'll read some of this. Now, this is for men. This is a description of men's clothing. I'm just going to pick out some of the words here. Anytime you're describing clothes for me and you say waistcoat buttons, waistcoat having a short skirt, you have silk stockings, you have descriptions like fitted over the leg, full in the seat, gathered to a tight waistband. And then you have some images of male clothing. You've got the nice ruffle right there. Maybe we'll bring this look back, gentlemen. What do you think? Some more words, just the language of it makes me laugh. You have double-breasted, that's not bad. High-waisted, not terrible. But then you start describing things like long-tailed skirt. Okay, it's a little iffy, right? And then you get into some other language. Get into some hairstyles. How many of you gentlemen would go get your hair cut and you would ask for a disheveled crop or have a ribbon tied in the back of your hair? Ladies, how many of you would let your boyfriends go out of the house with a hairstyle like, well, any of these? Just wondered. And again, the language describing the hair, a disheveled crop, curl, puff. Can you imagine, ladies, send your boyfriend to the barber and then he's asking for the negligee style or a disheveled crop, or he wants his hair puffed, curled, or frizzed. This was all the rage. I mean, this was, this was what men would aspire to at that time. Now, not appropriate by today's standards. So we're making the case that, again, what is gender appropriate will vary across time in one place. Now, what is appropriate behavior or conduct for one gender, may or may not be for the other gender. We'll make the we'll set the example of my family. I remember we went to a rest area in South Carolina, the Dean family, and I'm not one to frequent women's restrooms, and you're probably thinking, well, thank goodness, because that would make you weird, Mr. Dean. But I'm going to tell you a story. We were at the Welcome Center. If you've ever been to Myrtle Beach, and you're on route, I think it's Route 17, and you cross the border from in South Carolina to North Carolina or vice versa, there's a Welcome Center. And we all got out, and there were cars from different states. Every license plate was from a different state because everybody's traveling. And the restroom was under construction. The rest area, rather, was under construction. So when you walked into the building, literally, it was a weird setup. You kind of had to think about which restroom you walked into because they were not clearly marked because they were under construction. And they were very close to each other. So I happened to look over to my left. I'm thinking, oh, that's not the men's room. And I noticed there was a couch in the women's restroom. I'm like, that's weird. What are we like lounging around in a bathroom for? Men's restrooms don't have that. Now, gentlemen, when we go into a restroom, public restroom, there could be 20 guys in there. It's dead silence. Nobody's talking. Eye contact, there's none of that. You look straight ahead, you do your business, you get in and you get out. If there are 3 stalls and there are 2 men, do we stand beside each other? No, we keep a urinal between us open. That's just kind of how it is. It's unwritten rules based on gender. Now, I'm in the men's room. It's very quiet. And I hear an uproar. It sounds like a party in the women's restroom. Girls are screaming. They're laughing. They're carrying on. They're like, oh, girl, I like your sweater. Let me feel this material. That's so soft. Where did you get that sweater? I'm like, what in the world? Who knows each other? Every car's from a different state. So I come out, we get in the car, and I can hear my wife's voice above all of them in there. I'm like, who did you know in there? And she says, well, nobody. I'm like, well, we're talking to people. She's like, yeah, it's just what we do. We just talk. So I guess it's okay for women to go to the bathroom in pairs. And it's okay for them to talk and have fun and touch each other's shirts and and have parties and sit on couches. If I tried to do that in a men's restroom, if I walked up to a guy I didn't know while we're using the bathroom at a urinal and I touched his sweater and said, man, that's a really nice material. It feels really nice. Where'd you get this sweater? What's going to happen to me? Well, not sure. I don't know that I would want to know. So again, what's appropriate or behavior for one may or may not be for another. Now, sexism, we're talking about, sorry, just looking ahead a little bit here. Stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination based on gender. The idea that women can't be police officers or firefighters, or the idea that men can't be nurses or shouldn't be secretaries. This is sexism. Of course, we know, certainly women can perform masculine jobs, and men can perform traditionally defined feminine jobs. These are just constructs, femininity, masculinity. We've just kind of created these ideas. Now, there is still somewhat of a divide. Men still dominate the building trades. 99% of brick masons, stone masons, and heavy equipment operators are still men in this country. Architects, engineers, still 87% are men. Police officers, 85% are men. Physicians and surgeons, 70% are men. Speech pathologists, 99.8% are still women. Dental hygienists, almost 100%. Again, 99.7% are women. Preschool, kindergarten teachers, almost 100%. Receptionists, 93.6%. Licensed practical nurses, still 93.3% are women. So we still have and these are as of 2008. So we still have and see that gender stereotypes are alive and well. Now, there are consequences, psychological consequences of trying to stick to and adhere to masculine gender roles, especially for men. A lot of us guys in society think we have to be tough, we have to be, independent, we have to be in control, even if we don't always feel that way. And it creates problems for us as men if we think we have to fit into that stereotypical box. We suffer higher rates of depression, higher suicide rates, desperation, substance abuse problems, as well as physical health problems, when we feel like we have to stick to or adhere strictly to these masculine gender roles that society puts out there for us. And we'll go ahead and call that the end of this part for gender. Thank you.